Just share the link. Share some of the love. No, share the link.
The world has stolen from me my whole life.
I cannot beat the adverts. Cloak and Dagger looks like quite an interesting show, though. It is. They are Marvel characters which originally came into being from Spider-Man. Okay, we've got that shared. We've got the chat open still, so feel free to talk if you see this. Probably no one around just yet, but we're going to put this video up on YouTube, which I'm really happy about. So I was reading earlier issue 248 of the Amazing Spider-Man, which is it's a very well-known chapter that you see in a lot of top 10 lists. It's the kid who collects Spider-Man, and it was a really emotional story. I tell you, it was interesting because it was about this kid who was a big fan of Spider-Man, and he got to meet Spider-Man, and Peter told him his identity, and then it turns out that this kid is dying. It was a really sad story. It had a lot of impact to it, and it was interesting. It was only 10 pages. It was like an extra story that was thrown into Amazing Spider-Man, because it's normally about one story an issue. So in this case, it was 2 short stories. I've discovered something about the older comics, by the way. I used to think they were monthly. I think they were actually bi-monthly in the past, which is interesting. Well, it's interesting to me, because the first Amazing Fantasy story came out in August, and now we're in October. So this isn't 1962 anymore. We're in 1963, I think. I don't know if it was still bi-monthly or became monthly after this. I'm not really sure. It doesn't really matter very much, but it's interesting because it does make sense, because the first 2 Spider-Man comics had 2 stories. Sorry, I can hear an echo in this room. I think it's my guitar strings are reverberating, and it's very irritating. I can't even play the guitar yet, but it's nice to have it. So let's see. Today, it had to happen sooner or later. Spider-Man was bound to battle Doctor Doom. Every time Doctor Doom has had his name written in comics, it has been with really loud capital letters and interesting typography. It's something that amuses me very much. I remember in one Spider-Man story, what's the one? Let me check. I've got it on my shelf. I had it on my shelf. I think it's it's not my shelf. It's one of the J. Michael Straczynski Spider-Man stories, and in it, Captain America is like going undercover as an airport security guard, and he's guarding Doctor Doom. And Doctor Doom says something in capital letters. He says his name in capital letters, and Captain America says, "How do you do that?" And he says, "Do what?" And Captain America says, "Say your name in capital letters like that," and he just replies with, "Silence, minion." I love it. I was checking if I could do this without glasses, but I definitely cannot see the screen when I'm not wearing glasses. So unfortunately, I don't have enhanced vision. I wasn't bitten by a spider. Instead, I had my eyes damaged by a blue hedgehog playing the Sonic games as a child. No viewers yet, but it's no problem because I'm going to put this on YouTube. So it had to happen sooner or later. Spider-Man was bound to battle Doctor Doom. This is your finish, Spider-Man. If the Fantastic Four themselves could not stop me, what chance have you? I don't know how Doctor Doom sounds in my head. I can't remember how his voice sounded in the Fantastic Four cartoon. So, take a sip of tea today. Today's show is sponsored by Longjing Tea. Oh, it's good tea. I don't actually have any sponsors yet, but I was thinking of opening a coffee page where people could tip me enough money to buy a coffee. Well, it's obviously not going to be a coffee with me. It's going to be a green tea. So I'll see how that goes. I don't really want to do a Patreon because I'm not an established streamer yet. I'm just doing it casually for fun. And I definitely don't want this to be my job at the moment because with these viewer numbers, it's not really possible. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, so one thing that's strange about these reprints is they've got all the stuff. They've got the Hayes Code, the Comics Code Authority. I think that's the Hayes Code. That's what it was for movies. Up here, it's got the date. It doesn't have how much it cost, which is interesting. I'd like to know how much it cost. If I remember correctly, I think that Amazing Fantasy 15 cost 5 cents, and it seems strange to me that this figure would be abandoned because this collected edition is a really great thing for comic historians who are on a budget because, well, obviously the printed version would be a lot better than the online version. I'm really enjoying the online version though. But it's a really good collected edition. It's got some great colors. Everything is where you need it. I'm just a bit surprised by the submission. But I'm sure in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Marked for Destruction by Doctor Doom, featuring Peter Parker, alias Spider-Man. The awesome Doctor Doom, J. Jonah Jameson, and his secretary Betty Brant, featuring Flash Thompson and Liz Allen and their assorted classmates. Also, the other Spider-Man and the world's most fabulous super team. Okay, so there's a bit more here. Have you ever noticed when you start reading a comic mag, the opening caption tells you that you're about to read the most exciting story ever written with the most dangerous menace and the most suspenseful plot? Well, you're going to try it. We're going to try to be more honest. This may not be the greatest story ever written. You may have read about more exciting villains, and you may have thrilled to better plots. But you know something? We can't see now. Okay, that's odd. That's a different introduction. If you are looking at one of the few candid action films, you are looking at one of the few candid action films ever taken of Spider-Man by a newsreel photographer. By now, the whole world knows of Spider-Man's existence, but the world doesn't know his true identity or his real motives, and that is what this program intends to investigate. Spider-Man, a force for good or evil? My name is J. Jonah Jameson, publisher of Now Magazine and the Daily Bugle. I'm sponsoring this program in the public interest to expose Spider-Man to the public as the menace he is. I've got to say, one thing that the original Spider-Man movies did really well. There's a few things they didn't do very well. I wasn't really happy with how they presented Mary Jane, how they presented Flash Thompson, how they present. I loved how they presented Harry. That was great. I didn't like how Harry went to the same school as Peter because obviously his dad would send him to a private school. That's something Amazing Spider-Man did well. But J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, that was the perfect casting. It was excellent. The peanut head Jameson, he does look like a peanut head. That peanut head. I'm gonna say, greetings, Cal. Did you read Amazing Spider-Man issue 800? Fantastic. I'm gonna say, lived up to the name. J. Jonah Jameson has had some proper character development, and he's become quite a likable character. I didn't think that would ever happen. I've always had a soft spot for old Triple J. Look at that TV he's watching it on as well. Any TV show about the colorful Spider-Man is bound to attract a large audience. Even teenagers in a local bowling alley interrupt their game to view the program. Jameson for president. Oh, I, that would be brilliant. I could imagine that. Do you remember when Norman Osborn was president? That was an odd time. Boy, imagine Jameson sponsoring his own program just to attack Spider-Man. I say that Spider-Man belongs behind bars. Jameson's not so dumb. He's just getting good publicity for his mag by making all this fuss. Yeah, personally, I think Spider-Man's the coolest. As usual, Flash Thompson has some amazing fashion. I would definitely wear that jumper. Peter today, I don't know. Sleeveless jumpers, not for me personally. Stick with the cardigans, Peter. That's what I'm going to say. I mustn't say anything to make them suspect. I'll talk against Spider-Man. It makes me cringe so much when Peter decides to do this. He's like, I'll make everyone dislike me by saying Spider-Man's bad. They're not going to think you're Spider-Man. Chill. You can't tell. Jameson might be right. Nobody really knows Spider-Man. It's a cinch you don't, panty waist. You'd probably faint if you ever caught sight of him. I would too, from sheer excitement. I bet he's really handsome under that silly mask of his. Sigh. He's actually Cary Grant under the mask, as Black Cat revealed in a dream sequence in Amazing Spider-Man issue 246, which I was reading earlier. That was weird. Go on, Parker. Get lost. You're in the wrong place anyhow. This is a bowling alley, not a knitting parlor. What does that mean? He does take his job a little too serious. He needs to take it easy. Then again, this is Peter Parker of the past. I think he's a very paranoid guy at the beginning. That's it, Flash. Keep it up. One of these days you'll go too far, and you never know what will hit you. There's even a limit to Spider-Man's patience. Whoa, that's scary. So in the chapter before, he deliberately, he nearly got into a fight with Flash, but he stopped and he just thought, nah, I'm too good for this. But now he's trying. But in another part of town, another listener hears Jameson's program, a strange and sinister listener. My papers are offering $1,000 reward to anyone who can disclose Spider-Man's true identity. Spider-Man? He may just be the one I've been seeking. So $1,000 would have been a lot more in 1963. Each time I attacked the Fantastic Four in the past, they have fought me to a standstill. Alone, I do not seem to be able to defeat them. But with one such as Spider-Man at my side, even that accursed quartet would not be able to save themselves from my wrath. The accursed quartet. That would be a good name for a metal band. We are the accursed quartet of doom. Oh, Cal, you gotta have seen Mr. Fantastic when he appeared in Amazing Spider-Man issue 1. It was hilarious. Okay, let's go to the next part. Ordinary men tremble at the mention of my name. The entire civilized world fears the menace of Doctor Doom. And yet, in one respect, I have been foiled time and time again. No matter how perfectly I lay my plans, the Fantastic Four have always managed to frustrate me. I still remember our last parting. I love the capital letters. The letterer did an excellent job here. Come back. You can't cheat me out of my revenge this way. Ben, get out of the way. I can still reach out and grab him. Ben, no, it's too late now. Oh, Ben, what are you doing? Swiftly, silently, the awesome form of the greatest menace of our age plummets earthward, down, 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 until it's lost from sight in the billowing clouds below. Love that writing. Once under the cover of clouds, the jet-powered flying belt I wore enabled me to glide to safety. To repair to a new layer where I could lick my wounds like a vanquished beast. What the heck is that? And now that is all behind me. Now it is time to strike again. With the aid of that imprisoned spider, I will transmit a message to Spider-Man using his own wavelength. The spider sense can detect radio waves. It's something that's been able to happen throughout the comics for ages. But it's really strange how people know how to pinpoint them. He does. I noticed Spider-Man talks to himself a lot too, and I don't know if that's something that people used to do more in the 60s, or if it's just because in comics they weren't really sure when to do thought bubbles or speech bubbles, because thought bubbles are very rare. But then again, I'm sure Doctor Doom still speaks to himself a lot. The poor guy. In some strange way, he has the sensory powers. See, he's thinking here because he doesn't want the spider to hear him. In some strange ways, he has the sensory powers of a spider. And so, it was a simple matter for one of my genius to create this spider wave transmitter. Calling Spider-Man. Calling Spider-Man. I must contact you at once. Contract you. Meanwhile, at home, Peter Parker practices his agility with his web in the privacy of his room. If the gang at the bowling alley could see me now. Calling Spider-Man. Calling Spider-Man. I can sense a message. Someone is trying to reach me. Who can it be? How could anyone have figured out a way to reach me through my spider sense? Well, it did happen in issue 1 with the chameleon as well. But whatever. Well, there's only one way to find out. It's a simple matter for me to follow the sensory impulses to their source. Boy, it's great to be getting back into action again. Perhaps Spider-Man would not be quite so enthusiastic if he knew who was waiting for him at his ultimate destination. It should be child's play for me to persuade Spider-Man to join me against the Fantastic Four. Well, I guess this is the place. Now to... Holy smoke! I'd know that guy anywhere. It's Dr. Doom. So it was you who tried to contract me. Can't speak today, sorry. Contact me, Doom. It would have had to be someone with your talent. But why? Ah, Spider-Man. It is necessary for you to make your entrance quite so dramatic, my impetuous friend. Mister, from what I've read about you, you haven't got any friends, impetuous or otherwise. Oh! Dr. Doom, do you want that ice? Do you want some ice for that burn? Friendship is for weaklings. What I offer is power. Together, we could rule the world. Oh man, he's got the Kyber complex. Quick sip of tea. Friendship is for weaklings, Dr. Doom. I bet Dr. Doom had a very lonely childhood. From the sounds of it. Oh. You're an outcast, the same as I. You dare not reveal your true identity, and yet, right under your nose, the Fantastic Four basks in the limelight, while you are shunned and hunted. I'll appeal to his sense of envy, of pride. Then, once he has served his purpose, I'll destroy him without a second thought. Dr. Doom must be really great at parties. Me? Team up with you? Oh man, wouldn't that be a gasser? Jonah Jameson would really have something to howl about then. Ah, so you will do it. Speak. Give me your word. Dr. Doom has no chill at all. Not so fast, Tinhead. Sure, it's an amusing thought to kick around, but just between us, I need you like I need another nose. The answer is no, Buster. I warn you, if you are not with me, then we are deadly foes. Imagine playing Monopoly with this guy. God. Doc, you're scaring me plumb out of my wits. Here, chew on this hunk of webs for a while. This will keep you under wraps while I figure out what to do with you. There's, I don't know, like, I think there's not really much matters, but he did say friends are for weaklings. I guess he became a lot meaner in the future. I mean, all he wants to do is to make Spider-Man join him. He's being a bit tsundere about it. That will keep you under wraps while I figure out what to do with you. Say, how come you're so quiet, so still? Cat got your tongue, you brazen fool. Haven't you guessed yet? Well, it's quite tame for Dr. Doom because that wasn't the real Dr. Doom. Oh my days! It wasn't you at all, just a robot, a dummy made up to resemble the real Dr. Doom. Naturally, you are not fighting one of your usual insipid antagonists now, Spider-Man. Dr. Doom cannot be trapped so easily. That is classic Dr. Doom. You see, Calvin, he might have made you thought that he was in Dr. Doom. But that wasn't Dr. Doom. Mate, owned. Where's the malice now? But Spider-Man can. You didn't expect a trapdoor to open beneath your feet, did you? Say, I bet you'd be a wow at a Coney Island fun. I mean, yeah, his spider sense would have gone off seconds before that. You don't think a fella with the reflexes of a spider is going to tumble down a corny trapdoor, do you? Perhaps not, but for your sake, I hope you don't think you've escaped me already. The accident which years ago made a shambles of my face didn't affect my strength at all, as you can see. Oof. It's like, I don't even know if Spider-Man knows that his face got deformed. And I am not entirely without little weapons of my own, such as this most effective miniature finger gun. Nice try, Rattletrap, but I saw that coming seconds ago. Rattletrap? I see. I'll say so long for now, Doc. I don't make a habit of being a human target for big bad villains. He kinda does. If I twist and turn just the right way, I'll miss the ledge below and land safely in the water. Looks like my hours of agility practice are really paying off. He escaped me. Well, I'll let him go for now, but he shall still serve my purpose, only in a way he cannot possibly suspect. Ooh, that doesn't sound good, Doom. The first thing I shall do is learn Spider-Man's true identity. That will make it easier for me to capture him, and then, once I have him helpless, I'll use him to bait my deadly trap for the Fantastic Four. Meanwhile, hundreds of feet below, I remember this story now. I know exactly where this is going. I hope that refugee from a nightmare factory doesn't think he's seen the last of me, because now I'm going to tackle him in earnest. But by the time the colourful crusader reaches the roof, holy Hannah! What was that? Doom was one step ahead of me. He blew up the deserted building before I could get back at him. He's probably miles away by now, planning his next move, if he's not replaced himself with another robot. Well, time enough for him later. I'll snap a few pics of the burning building. Old Skinflint Jameson may be willing to pay Peter Parker for them if they're exclusives. What is a Skinflint? Skinflint. I need to Google so many words with old Spider-Man. Skinflint. A person who spends as little money as possible. A miser. There we go. Look, there's Spider-Man. It must have been him who blew up the building. Just my luck. The crowd sees me. Now I'll probably be blamed for the fire, too. Oh, man. Poor Spider-Man. The next day at the offices of J. Jonah Jameson. All right, Parker. I'll buy those pictures of the fire from you. But what I really want are pics of Spider-Man. I'd love to be able to pin this fire on him. Classic JJ. Here's my chance to needle the old windbag a little. I don't know, Mr. Jameson. People are beginning to say you attack him too much. They're beginning to wonder what your real motives are. I think Parker is right, sir. I've heard some of our readers mention that they think you're jealous of Spider-Man for some reason. Well, I never knew I had an ally in JJ's secretary. And I never realized how pretty Betty Brant was not, and Eva, till now. That's enough. I'm still the publisher here, and I'll decide our editorial policy. I have only one real motive, to make money. Forget journalistic integrity. The more I attack Spider-Man, the more people will read my papers. It's to our advantage to keep pounding away at that corny costume clown. Everybody is interested in him. Whether they agree with me or not doesn't matter. Spider-Man sells papers, understand? I sure do, you big blustering phony. Man, JJ, chill out. I do love that suit, though. He's channeling the Joker here. A lot of people wore purple clothes in 60s Spider-Man, and they pulled it off. A short time later in another part of town. Boy, what a terrific gag this will be. Poor Peter, who'll never get over it. Whereas Peter Parker, I want it. Bring him to me. Uh-oh. Well, how did I look? Will puny Parker fall for it? Like a ton of bricks, Flash. You're a genius. The gals did a great job on the costume. This will teach our bookworm body to knock Spider-Man. Flash. It's going to take him another 797 issues before he knows. So let him believe what he wants. And so our web of fate draws tighter. Now back to the devious Doctor Doom. There, I've devised an instrument which will react to a spider's impulses the way a Geiger counter reacts to uranium. I don't know how he made it, but man, Doctor Doom, you're a genius. All I need to do is scour the city until the dial registers positive, and I will have found Spider-Man's real identity. When one is a master of science, as I am, there is nothing which cannot be accomplished. Sooner or later I shall eliminate all those who dare to oppose me. Not long afterwards, There's Parker now. We gotta tell Flash. Bet you he'll jump clean out of his skin when he sees Spider-Man. This will be the greatest gag of the century. Ah, my device is beginning to register. I'm nearing my prey. Flash, hurry. Parker's along in, walking by along Front Street. Okay, everything's set. You guys hide somewhere and watch the free show. Soon, Robert. Bame's Adventures. What's Barnes Adventures. Barnes Adventures. Soon. I don't know. Barnes Adventures. Let me Google that. Barnes Adventures. Is that another language? I'm sorry. I'm not sure. But it sounds awesome, Luke. Thank you. Barnes Adventures. All the way. I'm just going to take a quick sip of tea. Parker will be the laughingstock of the school when I'm through with him. If he's too yellow to fight, this is one way to show him what we think of him. According to my dial, the real Spider-Man is almost directly below me. Now, oh, Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom, mate. Oh, this is awkward. There he is. Strange, he's wearing his costume in broad daylight. Well, no matter. Within seconds, he'll be my helpless prisoner. It's time to show myself. To Parker and... Hey, what's this? What's going on? He's seen me, but it's too late for him to stop me. I've planned this coup too carefully. Oh, wow. Owned. And as Peter Parker, the real Spider-Man, walks calmly by, wrapped in his own deep thoughts, one burst of this fast-acting sleeping gas will do the trick silently. So the sleeping gas isn't going through the wall. And so Dr. Doom makes his first careless mistake, not suspecting this Geiger-like device had reacted to Peter Parker's presence rather than the imitation Spider-Man's. Done. Now all that remains is to carry him back to the ship. It was even simpler than I expected. Oh no. Strange that he should have been so easy to trap. Perhaps Spider-Man possesses less superpowers than people think. Meanwhile, I don't get it. What's Flash waiting for? Parker will be gone in another few seconds. Maybe something went wrong. Maybe Flash's costume tore or something. Gee, what a disappointment. Minutes later, after Peter's reached home. Hi, Aunt May. What are you watching? The Ed Sullivan Show, dear. I just saw the cleverest juggling act, and now he's going to have a chorus from some Midwestern college. That sounds so lame. I'm sorry, Aunt May. I thought you were cool. Aunt May. Say, what's wrong with the set? I don't know, dear. We just had it fixed last week. I hope it isn't the picture tube. Yeah, you wouldn't want your picture tube to be broken. That would be an amateur television mistake. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand by. There is nothing wrong with your set's reception. Some strange force seems to be affecting all TV transmission at the time. Stand by. Stand by. Boy, this is a new one. We regret that we are unable to continue our transmission. Our electrical power is being drained. Stand by. This is Dr. Doom. I have resorted to this drastic means to communicate with the Fantastic Four. I have a message of grave importance for them. As you can see, I hold Spider-Man in a helpless captive. Unless the Fantastic Four promise to disband and surrender to me, one at a time, Spider-Man will forfeit his life. I will wait exactly 1 hour for a reply. Dr. Doom is going all in. Oh, that awful creature. Thank heavens his prisoner is only Spider-Man, who is probably as much of a menace as Dr. Doom. I don't get it. Who is that Joker in a Spider-Man costume? What's this all about? Is this some kind of trick? Bring! Peter, this is Liz. Something terrible has happened. Flash Thompson is missing. He had dressed in a Spider-Man costume last night to play a joke on somebody. Aha, I can guess who that somebody was. So that's who Dr. Doom is holding prisoner. My loudmouth bullying classmate. Sorry, Liz. Nothing I can do about it. Flash doesn't exactly head my list of favourite people, remember? Peter. Well, a break for me. The FF will never agree to Doom's terms, so all I have to do is keep out of it, and Flash Thompson will never bother Peter Parker again. Things are finally going my way. Oh, Peter. Ah, What am I thinking? Who am I kidding? I could no more sit back and let any harm come to Thompson than I could swim to the moon. The real Spider-Man will have to go into action again. Good. Great power, great responsibility. You forget that often in these first few issues, but it's fine. See you later, Aunt May. I have to go out on an errand. Oh, Peter, no, you mustn't. Not tonight. I absolutely forbid it. You're still just a boy, and with all these terrible people roaming the city, Doctor Doom, Spider-Man, and heavens knows who else, I want you home, where it's safe. Hi, Owen. Greetings, cow friend. Salute. As you can see, Aunt May is being a bit uncool at the moment in the comics, but she's all right later on in the story. Okay, Aunt May. You know the doctor said you mustn't worry. Some superhero I am. I've got to find a way to get my aunt to let me out of the house. I'll just go down here and make sure the cellar windows are locked. Aunt May! Hate to do this, but it's the only way. If I remove the master fuse... There. The house is plunged in darkness. Of course, by using my spider sense, it's easy for me to find my way around without light. Yeah, the panel viewer is so good. Comixology has really changed the way I think about comics, because you read a comic on the page, I usually miss details quite easily, but if you read it panel by panel, it makes it very exciting. So basically, Doctor Doom wanted Spider-Man to join him. Spider-Man didn't want to join Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom made a device to capture Spider-Man. He accidentally captured Flash Thompson, who was dressed as Spider-Man, and took him hostage. Peter Parker didn't want to rescue him at first, but he's doing the right thing now. How's that for a recap? And Aunt May said he couldn't go outside, so he cut the electricity. And there's a very sinister looking panel here. Oh, Peter, the lights went out. We must have blown a fuse. And there aren't any more in the house. I know. I'll have to go and get some new ones. But please be careful, dear, and hurry right back. Seconds later, I certainly hate to deceive Aunt May, bless her, but there was no other way. A teenager's life is at stake, so I had no choice. Everything was hyphenated back then. Everything. Even Spider-Man still is. It permits. I'd better give my equipment a fast safety check. Let's see. Plenty of web fluid. Spider-Man light beam. Okay. Mask on securely. That's it. Now for Doctor Doom. That was a very quick safety check. And at the very moment, Yatik Halafia. I miss Lebanon. I miss speaking Arabic. Yatik Halafia. Thank you for the good work. Also in Japanese, not Gochiso-sama. It's go Otsukare-sama. I'm forgetting Japanese, damn. Okay. At that very moment, at the famous skyscraper headquarters of the Fantastic Four, we don't have much more time, Reed. What are we going to do? Well, Sue, we certainly can't let any harm come to Spider-Man if we can help it. Blasted amateurs, always gumming up the works. Since when did you get a superhero union card thing, oh pal? It's weird how I knew which of the Fantastic Four was speaking there. I knew that was Sue, that was Reed, that was the Thing, and that was Johnny Storm. Odd. Let's face it, you've struggled through one of the longest introductions you've ever read. But we think you'll find it well worth it, because now the fireworks begin in earnest. Gotta respect that honesty there from Stan. In order to break in on all the network TV shows the way he did, Doom needed a tremendous amount of electrical power. So I've got to search for his hideout in areas where some enormous dynamos may be located. Once I'm near him, my spider instinct will do the rest. The telephone company installation is below me, but I don't sense any hostile presence down there. Here's the broadcasting company building, but still no trace of Laughing Boy. Heck, I've covered half the city by now. Without finding him, I've got to locate Doom before that hour is up. I ought to have my head examined for knocking myself out to rescue a guy who's my worst enemy, but whoop! Hold it, I'm beginning to sense something. Good old spider sense hasn't failed me yet. I can feel the hostile emanations clear up here from the abandoned factory below. And within the silent, gloomy factory. Let me out of here, please. I'm not Spider-Man. You're making a big mistake, honest. You gotta believe me. You gotta. Silence, you cringing, sniveling coward. The famous Spider-Man. Bah! You're nothing but a frightened weakling. He's not Spider-Man, man. But you still enabled me to gain my objective. The Fantastic Four, spurred on by their stupid gallantry, would not fail to attempt your rescue. And when they come, I shall defeat them completely, irrevocably. Oh, Doom probably expects the Fantastic Four to try and save his prisoner, so he must have a zillion traps prepared. But maybe I can throw him a curve by slithering down through this air vent, as only Spider-Man can do it. It's a tight squeeze, but I think I can make it. Phew. This would be some spot for a guy to get claustrophobia. And now settle back and prepare to witness the goldangest, ding-bustedest, rip-snortedest super characters fight you've ever seen. Goldangest, ding-bustedest, rip-snortingest. Okay. Spider-Man. But you're my prisoner inside. How? Correction, Doc. I'm the real Spider-Man. You just captured yourself a phony Brand X in there. If that's so, then you are a fool to place yourself in jeopardy again. This time I shall not allow you to escape. Funny, I was thinking the same thing about you. It's, yeah, go dang it, ding busted this, rip snorted this. I try. Nothing like a quickly built web column to act as a life-saving shield. And now, while I'm all comfy and cozy back here, I'll just spin myself a little weapon of my own. Here you are. Hope I didn't keep you waiting too long, Rustbot, but it takes a few seconds to make a web ball filled with web fluid. You've got to admit one thing, though. It's a great way to teach someone that it isn't polite to point. Very clever, Spider-Man. You have temporarily put my finger blaster out of action. And that's not all I'm going to put out of action. Here's a little stunt inspired by the Human Torch. But I used web balls instead of fireballs. I have found your juvenile antics mildly amusing until now, but I begin to grow bored, and so... Uh-oh, I sense danger above me. He's trying to lead me into a trap. Better build another shield for myself fast. Just in time, that falling liquid is turning into ice on contact. It might have frozen me solid. Well, a miss is as good as a mile. Ready to talk turkey yet, Doom? On the contrary, Spider-Man, I want to thank you for acting as a guinea pig for me. I've been waiting to test out this little device for days now. Iron globes revolving at a great speed around a magnetic core. You sure have some interesting hobbies, Doc. More interesting than you suspect, Braggart. You'll find your web cannot stop the irresistible motion of my little playthings. They are far too powerful. They're whirling faster and faster. Can't dodge them much longer. Only one chance. I'll drive onto them and shoot my web to the base of the spinning machine. It worked! It jammed up the mechanism. The balls are dropping. Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Please excuse my immaturity. The balls are dropping. Their power source no longer propelling them. For the love of Pete, Doom doesn't give a guy a chance to catch his breath. Now he's got liquid heat shooting up from the floorboards. I sure feel sorry for anyone who had to fight that walking rattletrap. If they didn't have the powers of a Spider-Man. So you swung over my heat rays out of harm's way, did you? Good! That's just where I want you. You outsmarted yourself that time. I tricked you into landing where you did, and now the steel section of the flooring I landed on. You've got it electrified. He's increasing the current. Can't take much more of it. It would have knocked out a normal human by now. Luckily, I loaded up with plenty of web fluid before coming here. Fighting desperately to maintain consciousness, Spider-Man shoots out his awesome web, which carries with it the same electric current, which is weakening the desperate crime fighter. And as the web strikes the startled Dr. Doom, the same charge of electricity runs through his body, magnified many times by his metal garb. Ah! I'm caught in my own trap. Got to switch the current off. And then, after the electrical charge has been nullified, now we'll play it my way, Doom, without any of your kooky gadgets. Not yet, Spider-Man. I'm still in control here. Just in case you don't believe me, here's something to convince you. Huh? Behind me? Who? What? The robot. What a fool I was. I forgot about it. Naturally, no one can match the thinking ability of Doctor Doom. But to use that robot, he needs to control it with this control panel. It doesn't seem very practical to me. And now, even though you are breaking free, it is too late. Even you will find no defense against this machine. Before I worry about that new machine of yours, here's your playmate back, with regards. Still, you rely on brute strength, Spider-Man. That will be your undoing. We'll see about that. My spider strength will enable me to smash your new gizmo by tossing your own satellite machine at it. Not quite. Not if I can flip this lever first. Holy smokes. His machine is some kind of disintegrator. It vaporized the metal on the spot. I haven't a chance against it. Well, I can't stand still and let it finish me. Maybe I can dive past the bolts and reach the control panel. I want Doctor Doom to be in the next Spider-Man movie. That'd be awesome. I know it's going to be Mysterio though. And then, as the deadly bolts from the awesome machine flicker around them, the two mighty foes battle for their lives. He's even stronger than I suspected. Didn't think I expected you to try that? That bolt, it struck you, but what, did you think I'd expose myself to my own weapon without taking precautions? I'm insulated against these bolts. They cannot harm me. But you, alas, are not so insulated, as you are about to learn now. It's unbelievable. He's like a human machine. He seems to be tireless. Another inch and I'm done for. Spider strength. If I ever needed you, I need you now. Exerting every last bit of power contained in a superhuman body, the amazing Spider-Man, executing one last maneuver, manages to twist suddenly so that both figures sprawl against the control panel, halting the deadly, disintegrating bolts. Sorry. I did it! But on the verge of exhaustion due to his Herculean effort, Spider-Man cannot prevent his older, more experienced adversary from regaining his balance first and striking the initial blow. This will finish you off, you clumsy fool. Oh! If I had a dime for every time some cornball predicted my finish, hey, now what? Probably have like 5 dimes. Oh, no problem, Owen. You're getting your sickness sleep. Are you feeling okay now? Because I know you're ill today, and don't want my cow friend being ill. You relax. I'll feed you some Spider-Man stories. The British version. Yeah, it's like I give everyone an American accent except Spider-Man. I can't do it. Have patience. These little flakes will soon end the battle for good. I mean, we've got a British actor playing Spider-Man right now, so it's a good time. He's got me on the defensive again. Something in these glowing flakes has affected my eyes. I can't see. I have to rely on my spider's senses alone. How did he manage to duck out of the way in time? You gotta hear my Dr. Octopus impression, that's great. Oh, I should have guessed. It's that accursed, inhuman spider sense of his. Still a bit unwell, but better than I was last night. That's good to hear. I'm hoping you're well enough for me to come visit at some point. No Limits has you covered. Is he hitting him with a gun? My eyes are beginning to clear. If I can just keep out of range for a few seconds longer. You're only prolonging the agony, Spider-Man. You haven't a chance against me. Hey, what the? It's those iron balls from the satellite machine. I didn't notice them under my foot. Can't keep my balance. And thus shall I defeat all my mortal enemies, including the Fantastic Four. But at that fateful second, something outside a nearby window catches the eye of Doctor Doom. And I'm not intentionally breaking up the flow of this epic scene, by the way. And says, that's right, we've got to take a break every now and then. It's no problem. I'm enjoying having a chat and interacting with people, so don't worry about it, bro. It permits. It can't be. Not now. I'm not ready for them yet. It's the Fantastic Car! With the Fantastic Four inside. They have found me. I can't fight them in Spider-Man. Not at the same time. The Fantastic Car. Blast the luck. Another few seconds and I'd have finished off Spider-Man forever. You let yourself think that, dude. Well, at least I've prepared a getaway exit for myself. As for Spider-Man, he can wait. There's always another day. I can see again, but Doom is cutting out. Why? So that's it. It's the Fantastic Four. Just like the cavalry in a TV western. Well, their eyes will show up when they realize I found Doom first. Wait a minute, I just remembered Aunt May. I left her alone at home. She's probably beside herself with worry about me by now. I thought it was nighttime, and now it's daytime. It's strange. According to our sensor probe dial, this is the place. Skip the scientific double talk, Skinny. Let's go get him. Poor Aunt May. Can't waste a second. Got to rush back home. Meanwhile, in Dr. Doom's now abandoned hideout, Flash Thompson finds himself free, since the electronic circuits have been destroyed. Dr. Doom, he's gone. I don't know what happened, but I'm still in one piece. What a lunkhead I was to dress as Spider-Man. If I ever get out of here alive, I'll never ask for trouble again. Look, it's Spider-Man. Grab him. Oh, wait, I don't. Hold it, Thing. I've seen Spider-Man close up. That guy isn't even a reasonable facsimile. You mean we went to all this trouble for nobody? Then how about me leaning on him just a little while? Put him down, Ben. The poor boy looks terrified. Lots of pieces of webbing around. I suspect the real Spider-Man was here. And on the other side of town, Aunt May, she doesn't answer. Gosh, if anything's happened to her. Here I am, Peter. I got nervous in the house alone, so I went next door to stay with our neighbors. Did you get the fuses, dear? I forgot. Well, I'll tell her I was too scared to walk the dark streets alone. The next day at the office of J. Jonah Jameson. Some great news, photog. You are, Pete Parker. Last night, a teenager named Flash Thompson escaped from Dr. Doom. The Fantastic Four found Doom's hideout, but they must have scared him away. And not one measly photo from you. Sorry, Mr. Jameson. I was home last night. I've got to sleep sometime. Don't feel too badly, Peter. I may only be JJ's secretary, but I think you're wonderful. Oh, I think Peter's pulled. It permits. The next day. Gosh, I never realized that Betty felt that way about me. As a matter of fact, I never realized how I felt about her either. Say, look at that crowd of kids. Well, at least this is one time I won't have to listen to Flash Thompson ribbing me. He must be the most embarrassed kid in school by now. Wow, tell us more, Flash. Naturally, I wasn't scared of that crumb Dr. Doom. He couldn't keep me prisoner for long. When he saw I escaped, he was so worried that he ran out before I could get my mitts on him. Gosh, Flash, this will really make you the BMOC around here now. Note, BMOC. Oops, I'll hide myself there. Note, BMOC means big man on campus. He's the BMOC. I think that was an actual term that people used to use in the 60s. Why so gloomy looking, Peter? Although I suppose I shouldn't blame you for being jealous of a real He-Man like Flash. Again, I love that turtleneck. Flash, go hand it to him. To his credit, he does have a pretty good fashion sense. BMOC. I mean, when you're the BMOC, you need to have fashion sense like that. Why so gloomy looking, Peter? Oh, I've read that bit. I might as well face it. I've got nothing but luck, and it's all bad. Thanks to our overwhelming response to Peter Parker's offbeat adventures. Spider-Man is now published monthly. Don't be a Johnny-come-later. Reserve your copy of the sensational issue number 6 at your news dealer now. You don't want to miss the new Spider-Villains, Spider Adventures, and super surprises in store for you. I subscribed to Spider-Man the other day after avoiding the comic shop, because I love the comic shop. Piranha Comics in Bromley is great, and the people that work there are so friendly and helpful. It's precisely that reason that I avoid it, because I always buy so many comics from there. I'm subscribed to Spider-Man again. I want to get issue 802 tomorrow. Help! Oh, let's see the next cover. The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 6. Half man, half reptile. The lizard will take over all of the Earth unless Spider-Man alone can stop him. The Marvel age of comics is here. I'm not a Johnny-come-lately, although the issue did come out a few days ago, and I swore I would only be there once a month. Little did I suspect that Amazing Spider-Man has always come out once a month, so I might as well get the issue But I nearly got tricked into buying a Daredevil comic last time I was there, and another Spider-Man comic. Ooh. Guys, I'm gonna have a quick break to go to the restroom and get myself a GOW glass of water. If you could stand still for a few seconds, wait for this amazing spider tail that is about to hit. I try not to take breaks if I'm going to upload it to YouTube, but whatever. Let's be right back. I'm going to be a Johnny come lately. I forgot my teacup. Oh, sorry about that. I left my teacup downstairs. Okay, so we are going to read the next part where the lizard appears. I'm going to say, as a quick break from reading comics, please ask me any question about Spider-Man, and I will rack my brain to see if I can answer it. Because in terms of Spider-Man, I have there's a few hundred issues I haven't read. Let's just say that. I think altogether, in terms of Spider-Man comics, I've probably read about half of Amazing Spider-Man. So ask me any Spider-Man question. I'll leave it to you. It could be from anyone in the chat. I could answer more than one question if they are there, but I want to give this a try. Any question you can think of. Could be a big question or a small question. While you're thinking of that, let's go back to this title page. Face to face with the lizard. It is common knowledge that Spider-Man is the most successful new superhero since the Fantastic Four. He did become, I think for a while, Spider-Man was the only comic that was really making Marvel any money. Like that was before the movies started to happen. I mean, he had two. I think he had three different titles at the same time for a stretch. This, the latest and possibly greatest of all his adventures, will show you why the mysterious masked teenager has become America's super sensation. Written by Stan Lee, drawn by Steve Ditko, lettered by Art Simek. I love Art Simek's lettering. No, I don't know what distinguishes letterers at all. There was something I saw a while ago um, in a letters page where somebody was complimenting the artists and the inkers and the writers, and the editor was like, "What about the letterer? You don't want the letterer to feel left out." So Art Simic, just the best letters in town. Okay, we have no Spider-Man question from the audience. I'm saddened. I am saddened, but it's okay. Don't worry. No pressure. I'm not saddened. A superhero is nothing without a supervillain, and our latest supervillain appears without warning in the murky swamps of Florida's Everglades. This is the first encounter between mankind and the lizard. Begone! The swamp is mine! Don't hurt my voice. What is it? A giant lizard, but it talks. It walks like a man. Whatever it is, it's attacking us. Oh, look, bullets don't stop it. You dare defy the lizard. You'll pay for that folly. I think that's that's the voice I'm giving him. I can't remember what he sounded like in the cartoon. He snapped that huge tree as if it were cardboard. Run! We gotta get away from here. Flee, puny humans. This swamp is mine. Here the lizard reigns supreme. Boy, he doesn't have to tell me twice. Like wildfire, the reports of the human lizard spread throughout the Everglades, the state, and the entire nation. They say it walks and talks like a man. It has the strength of a dozen bulldozers. Bullets can't harm it. What is it? Who is it? Nobody can ever track it down. Nobody would dare invade its dark domain. So this lizard's got everyone spooked. Even as far north as New York. The name of the lizard is on everyone's lips. Extra, read all about the lizard. Extra, extra. I'd like a paper too, but I'll get it my own way. Oh, he's paying for it, don't worry. He's paying for it with a purple coin. Oh, didn't know. You could slowly go between them. I love Comixology, I tell you. I mean, it did cost me £11 to get this collection, but there's a lot of stuff that's on sale, and basically the newer is, well, not newer, but the more recent it is, the cheaper it can be. And so quietly, secretly, America's most mysterious superhero learns about the nation's newest menace for the first time. I mean, to be fair, I think the printed edition of this would be £20, because you get 11 issues, you get Amazing Fantasy 15 as well, so you get 12 issues, and this is pretty good. What kind of cornball gag is this? Every publicity mad nut and his brother try to challenge me to something or another. The Bugle challenges Spider-Man to defeat the lizard. Well, I'll change to Peter Parker and go see Mr. Jameson. Maybe he'll send me to Florida to snap some photos of that lizard character. A few minutes later at the office of the Daily Bugle. You're out of your mind, Parker. I just printed that challenge headline to sell papers. The lizard is probably just a phony anyway. I'm not paying you to waste time. But if Spider-Man does fight him, I think what a scoop we'd get. Don't make me laugh. If there really is a giant lizard down south, Spider-Man will never tackle him. He'd rather stay here fighting 2-bit hoods and making a rep for himself. I should have known that old hatchet face would turn me down. Too bad, Peter. I think he should have sent you to cover the lizard story. It might be a real scoop. Thanks, Betty. I sure wish you were the publisher instead of being his secretary. That would be cool. I've got to say, I much prefer Betty's modern design. She looks like an anime character these days in the comics. It's really cool. Thanks, Betty. I sure wish you were the publisher instead of just being a secretary. I think she is actually an article writer at the moment, which is cool in the current story. I figure it won't hurt to learn all that I can about lizards, just in case. So I might as well start with the biggest ones, dinosaurs. I love that he's gone to a museum. Hey Liz, wouldn't you know we'd find Bookworm Parker here? Shush, Flash. I want to hear the lecture. Again, excellent jumper, Flash. If their intelligence had matched their size, they might still rule the earth today. Their hides were so thick that if they lived today, no gun smaller than a cannon could injure them. My spider sense is tingling. These two men coming in. It's due to them. No one saw us take the idol's ruby. Now let's scram. They lived in or out of water. They could crush a present-day tank. They've stolen something. I can sense it. Have to follow them. Don't like the way that kid's looking at us. Me either. Come on. Ah, he's homeless. He's homeless? Oops. He's harmless. He's gone in the other room. Lucky for him. If he came any closer, we'd have to let him have it. I'll duck in here and change to Spider-Man. There's not much more I can learn about dinosaurs, and this is a lot more fun. Oh, what's the commotion out here? It's the guard chasing those two. He saw them steal something, but they pulled a gun, the size of one of the kids. The size of. I'm making so many reading errors today. A gun seized one of the kids. It's Liz. Okay, so you saw us grab that ruby, but we're getting out of here anyway, and we're taking this gal with us for protection. Please, let them go. Don't try to stop them. They seem so desperate. Owned. You two won't get away with this. I'll say they won't. I'll say they won't. I see that Flash Thompson, Liz's loudmouth date isn't doing her any good. But Bookworm Parker has a few tricks up his little sleeve. Yes, Parker. Hold it, boys. You're missing one of the most interesting exhibits, namely me. It's Spider-Man. What do we do now? I'll answer that question. You hit my eager little fist with your big strong chins, like this. Oh, nice. Spider-Man, you saved me from those two gunmen. The pleasure was all mine, Blue Eyes. I'm just enough of a show-off to enjoy these little incidents. But I'd better cut out before someone wonders where Peter Parker is. Minutes later. Liz, come on, snap out of this. This is Flash, don't you remember me? Flash? Flash who? All I can remember are Spider-Man's strong arms around me. Sigh. Made it. Nobody even missed me. He saved me. He called me Blue Eyes. I'll never forget him. Nuts. Competition like you I can handle, Parker. What do I do about Spider-Man? Just one thing, pal. Worry. Nice. At that moment, a boy passes by listening to the news on his transistor portable radio. He's not even wearing headphones. The nation wonders why Spider-Man has avoided going after the lizard. That settles it. I've got to find a way to get Jameson to send me to Florida. And so, not long after. Who's that? Well, it's not Fats Domino. Oh, I know that. That's a jazz musician, I think. Hands off your intercom, Jane, old chum. Let's keep this nice and private. A web. Got to get out. Get help. Hold it, Smiley. Where's your hospitality? Jameson, you've been writing editorials against me, talking on radios and TV against me. And you know something? I'm beginning to think you don't like me. I love it. Let me down. What's the rush? I have a news item for you. I'm going to accept the Lizard's challenge. So if you really want to see what I can do, you'd better send a photographer to Florida to cover the story. As for my web, it will loosen in a minute, and you'll come down. Boy, will you come down. That does it. Now I have to hope he's convinced enough to send Pete Parker to Florida. Because I haven't enough money to get there by myself. Some superhero I am, too broke to buy a plane ticket to meet a new enemy. Miss Brand, stop gaping and call Peter Parker. I want to see him here at once. But first, put some soft cushions on the floor under me. Yes, sir. Tus. Poor gentle Jonah. Ow. Never mind those damn cushions. Exactly 5 minutes later. Peter, where have you been? Mr. Jameson has been looking everywhere for you. I like that his blazer is tucked into his trousers there. No wonder he didn't find me. I haven't been everywhere. That's good. So he's looking everywhere for you. I haven't been everywhere. You know, Betty, I've been wanting to ask. Yes, Peter? Parker, get in here. Oh, man. He was being so smooth and suave. I've decided to send you to Florida afterward to try and get some pictures of the lizard and Spider-Man if he shows up. That's great. When do I start? Start. Hold on a second. Start packing now. We're leaving as soon as possible. We're leaving? That's right. It's such a big story that I'm going with you. I'm not taking any chances of a slip up. Besides, I can use a trip to Florida. Oh, brother, if he tags along, how will I be able to keep switching from Pete Parker to Spider Man? I'll have to get permission from my Aunt May. Have to get permission from my aunt. You want to go to Florida? With that horrible lizard running loose down there? Oh no, Peter, it's out of the question. But Mr. Jameson is going with me. You mean J. Jonah Jameson, the nice man you do part-time work for? Oh, in that case, I suppose it's all right. I know that he'll take good care of you, the nice man indeed. He's like a big fat guardian angel, Aunt May. I've got to say, I think in this issue, Steve, it does not permit. Oh, he's in trouble now. He's going. I remember there was one Spider-Man comic that I got in Free Comic Book Day where, due to a charity auction, Spider-Man and J. Jonah Jameson had to go camping together, and they were attacked by the Scorpion. It was a really good comic. One thing I've noticed is Steve Ditko has gone really good at drawing Peter Parker in this issue. Like he looks pretty cool in this one. Looks like a member of the Smiths. I think this is before the Smiths even sang anything. And so the next day, what are you lugging there, Parker? A lot of clippings about the lizard and maps of the areas where he's been since. Glad to see you're thinking ahead, Parker. You haven't sold me too many sensational pictures lately. You better not disappoint me this time. I'll perish, forbid. But unnoticed by Jonah Jameson, the sharp-eyed Peter Parker scans a few other items. Dr. Connors, the reptile expert, lives near the Everglades area. He might be of some help. Finally, at the airport in Florida, take a quick sip. I've got a very cold temperature of like 40 or 50 degrees, and it is lovely tea. I'll go and get some fresh film and equipment while you get settled in the hotel. Make it snappy. Why didn't you buy that junk in New York instead of doing it here, on my time? Time is money. And once out of sight of Jameson and the others. Because then I wouldn't have had a chance to change to Spider-Man. That's why. The lizard area is blocked off by armed patrols. I wonder what kind of blip I'd make on the radar screen. But although he is not detected by radar, Spider-Man is observed by something far more dangerous. The eyes of the lizard. Enemy coming. Must hide and then attack. I don't like it. It's too quiet here. Unnaturally quiet. It's a creepy feeling. My spider sense is starting to tingle, but I don't see anything. My foot! Something grabbed me from behind. Something powerful. Can't keep my balance. It's him, the lizard. Lizard or not, a glob of mud pushed in his face ought to slow him down a little. Phew, I'm out. Couldn't have held my breath much longer. Uh-oh, he's out too. Still can't figure out who or what he really is. The swampland is mine. I have warned this world. But you dared to invade my domain. And so, you are doomed. Sure. Every time I turn around, I get doomed by somebody else. He's fast. His tail almost got me that time. Strange. He doesn't seem to be wearing a disguise. That grotesque form is really him. I'd better knock some of the fight out of him. If I can just hang on to his tail. Suffering spiderwebs. He's a dozen times stronger than I thought. I'm glad that catchphrase didn't catch on. Boy, when I make a mistake, it's a beaut. Look out below. Gasp. He threw me almost half a mile. Luckily, these trees broke my fall. Say, that must be Dr. Connor's house. He's the reptile expert I wanted to see. I better warn him how near the lizard is. Gosh, a woman in there. She's crying. So I'm going to go into the house. Don't see Dr. Connors around. Well, I've got to speak to the woman. Warn her of the lizard. Spider-Man! Don't be afraid. I'm here to help you. I wanted to talk to your husband, ask his advice about reptiles. But there's no time now. You've got to leave. The lizard is nearby. Leave? Oh no, you don't understand. My husband, Dr. Curtis Connors, is the lizard. What? So Kurt Connors was the first bad guy in the Spider-Man cartoon, and the first episode of the 1994 Spider-Man cartoon was a lizard episode. He's a great villain. Let me explain. My husband was a surgeon. He lost his right arm during the war. Ever since then, he has studied reptile life. He became one of the world's leading authorities of reptiles. If a lower order of life, such as certain types of lizard, lose a leg, or any base extremity, they often simply grow a new one. If only I could learn how it is done and apply the secret to humans. Think what it would mean. A man might grow a new pair of legs, or arms, perhaps even new eyes, or a new heart. You've got to find the secret. Oh, Curtis, if only you could. Curtis Connors was a good husband, a good father. His son Billy adored him, and so do I. Daddy, what are you working on? Something to make you proud of me, Billy. Something to help all of mankind. After months of experimentation, the serum which I extracted from the experimental lizards works. That rabbit grew a new leg within an hour. I wonder if you could probably grow a new dick with it. Just like a lizard. I've got to say, I loved the lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man movie. He was hilarious. He was like a knockoff David Bowie. I like this lizard though. Kurt Connors, he's so wholesome. Because in the Amazing Spider-Man movie, I think Kurt Connors himself was a bad guy, but Kurt Connors is quite a decent guy in the comics. As far as I know, I think he might permanently become the lizard later on. For me, all that remains is for me to try it on a human. And what better subject can there be than myself? Curtis, are you sure it's safe, Curtis? He drank the bubbling serum before I could stop him, and then I feel life returning. My right shoulder, such a strange sensation. And then, I've done it. I've grown a new arm. This is the greatest medical feat of all time. Okay, Kanye. That's pretty good. Imagine if you used that to grow a new dick. That would be quite the panel. That's not so wholesome though. But the change didn't end there. No, the hand, the arm, all of Curtis Connors began to change until... What has happened to me? What have I done? Curtis, what is... No! Stay away from me! Don't look at me! Don't! I made him sound like the guy in Blue Velvet there. Trembling, sobbing like a man possessed, the creature who had been Curtis Connors raced into the night. Curtis! He returned the next day. He tried to work on a new serum, one that would make him human again, but it was hopeless. His brain had been too dulled, too changed. Cannot do it. I must give up. And that was the end. He left a note saying goodbye. He was afraid to remain, afraid because of what he had become. Take Billy. Leave. Never come back. Then at that moment, Mommy! It's Billy. I thought he was taking his nap. The cry came from outside. Perhaps my spider sense will lead me to him. Meanwhile, not far away, the terrified boy races through the swamp, having seen a sight which seemed to be out of a nightmare. I did not mean to frighten you. Help! Come back! That snake! I can't get out of its way in time. Suddenly, a colourful, fast-moving figure swings down from above and... Got you! Oh! No one can take him from me. Billy, stay up there. Oh no, that's not Spider-Man saying. No one can take him from me. Billy, stay up there. Don't let go. Ow, his skin is hard as a dinosaur's armor. I almost broke my hand and he hardly felt it. I tried to hold him with my web until... No, that's no good either. He snapped it with his tail as if it were made of paper. Just then, a female voice cries out, and it strikes a hidden chord deep within the lizard's breast. Slowly he turns, and then silently slithers into the murky swamp. Billy, Billy, where are you? Minutes later, my husband, did you see him? Is he? Mummy, that man saved me. He's alright for now, but he gets less human each minute. I know who you are. I saw pictures of you. You're Spider-Man. That's right, Billy. I'm going to take you home safely now. I'm going to see your husband's notes, Mrs. Connors, before it's too late. It's a good thing I'm a science major in high school, so the kids make fun of me, and they call me a bookworm, do they? Well, this bookworm is going to find an antidote for the lizard. Gosh, are you a scientist too, Spider-Man? Hours later. Poor JJ is just sitting there waiting for Peter to come back with supplies. We'll soon find out if I'm a scientist or not. I drop a pellet of the compound I created into this test tube. When it hits the solution within, if it turns green, then I've succeeded in finding an antidote. Here it goes. It changed colour. I've done it. Once the lizard drinks this formula, he'll revert to his normal self again. But there is still one problem remaining. How am I going to get him to drink it? Spider-Man, look! You are the only one who does not fear me. Once I destroy you, all of mankind will tremble before the lizard. Quick, take the test tube. Don't let it spill. I've got to reason with him. You can't. He grows less human each minute. He doesn't even seem to know me now. At last I see the fear in your eyes, for you know I have the power to rid the world of Spider-Man. My skin is as hard as armor, and my muscles are equally strong, stronger by far than yours. He's right. He's holding that huge oak desk as if it were weightless. How helpless you are in the face of my battering attack. Don't know where to turn. His arms, his tail, all striking at once. Such strength. It's unbelievable. Ooh. Within a few savage seconds, the unequal battle is ended. Now, there is none to stop me. I am supreme! All I need to do now is feed my serum to other lizards, crocodiles, alligators. I'll build a mighty lizard army. The lizard has made his first serious mistake. Underestimated the strength and stamina of his super foe. Spider-Man, thank heaven you're still alive. He knocked the wind out of me for a minute. He's stronger than I had guessed. It's not his strength it's not only his strength that's affected, but his brain. He plans to inject the serum into giant lizards, making them like he is, creating a savage, superpowered full lizard army. Do you realize how many lizards there are on Earth? Mankind wouldn't stand a chance. He must be stopped quickly before he creates the first super lizard, otherwise they will multiply too fast to ever be checked. Here's the antidote, but how will you get him to drink it? I don't know yet. The first thing I must do is track him down. You and your son remain here. I don't think he'll return. He is stronger than you, and he has become ruthless. Perhaps you should get help. There isn't time for that. Whatever must be done by Spider-Man alone. I'll build some web swamp shoes for my feet. That is quite a good idea. I like it. Don't hurt him, Spider-Man. He's still my father. The boy is right. That's really clever. I like it. The boy is right. Beneath the savage exterior of the lizard is a decent, talented man. But how could I defeat him and save myself without harming him? I wonder how many uses there are of Spider-Man's web. There must be hundreds, if not thousands, that have taken place in the comic. Luckily, his trail is still recent enough for my spider sense to track him. And I can keep these swamp snakes at bay as long as my web fluid holds out. I sense him more clearly than ever now. He must be inside that old abandoned Spanish fort. And now for the showdown. There he is, but am I too late? The scene is so amazing, so fraught with drama that Spider-Man takes his first few pictures of it as he frantically tries to execute his next move. He's surrounded by huge alligators, but they seem to be obedient to him. And now for our great moment, my pets. We shall be the first of Earth's new rulers. The humans will have no place to run, no place to hide from us. For the lizards are part of the reptile family, which includes you, snakes, and all the crawling hordes. Think of the countless millions of reptiles in these Everglades alone. Once I spill my serum into... Whoa. That doesn't sound right. Once I spill my serum into the murky waters, nothing will stop the birth of a new race of lizard creatures. And I shall be the master of an entire planet. Now follow me. while I go to prepare the syrup. Our supreme moment is at hand. Good. Then I'm still in time. He hasn't started his deadly chain reaction yet. But unexpectedly, the ancient, time-worn mortar crumbles beneath Spider-Man's weight, and I'm falling. You still live? Well, this solves my first problem, the problem of when to attack. Looks like it's now or never. There's not much going on in that plan. Get him, my pets. Spider-Man must never leave here alive. Move this down a bit. You've had all the innings so far, fella. Now it's time for Spider-Man to show what he can do. First, I'll get up to the top turret where the alligators can't reach me. Ha! He forgets there are 3,000 different kinds of lizards on the earth, and I have the powers of all of them. Has he never seen a gecko lizard slither up a wall? I mean, who has? You know? He beat me to the top. Now I'm trapped between the lizards and the gators below. Neckos? Yeah, he's Neko lizard, a cat lizard. I mean, I would love to see a Neko lizard. Would it look more like a cat or more like a lizard? A cat with scales. Would still be very cute. I'd like to see that. Neko is Japanese for cat. That's what my subtitle would say. Okay. He beat me to the top. Now I'm trapped between the lizards and the gators below. They're battering the wall to make it crumble. Can't stay up here much longer. When you talk about powers, pal, don't forget the spiders have a few themselves, such as the power of swinging on their webs. Bah! That is nothing. Lizard's voice is really hurting my throat. I hope he doesn't appear for a while after this. You are only postponing the eventual outcome. Sooner or later, I will destroy you. I ought to have a record made out of that line. I hear it all the time. Don't you realize yet that your web isn't strong enough to hold me? Well, you can't blame a guy for trying. Yeah, any cute creature is an echo. Like the lizard, what an echo. Like this. This is an echo. Ah, an echo. You know, one thing I do about with this thing is like it's a nice little marshmallow frog. When I'm asleep, I just lie down and I hold it in my fist, like, and I'm like, just asleep while this is in my hand, and it always falls on the floor. And this is my oven echo. It's my pillow. I am a 28-year-old man. Witness my adulthood. Ah, don't you realize yet that your web isn't strong enough to hold me? Well, you can't blame a guy for trying. I've got to keep him on the move so that he forgets to grab his serum and toss it into the swamp. For, if it should spill into the swamp, we humans will never be able to stop the new race of lizard creatures that will emerge. I mean, I doubt it would spread that much. Maybe it would turn a few people and a few lizards into lizard creatures, but like, I doubt it would turn that many. You may be stronger than me, Liz, but I still say you're too slow to keep up with me. Now all I have to do is flip back and bolt the door behind me. The gators! How did they get here? Oh, that's not him talking. The gators! How did they get here so fast? Good thing this door bolts from both sides. Now it's just you and me, Spider-Man, and no way for you to escape me. Wherever I go, wherever you go, I can follow. Can't go any higher. He's right under me. Don't dare let him grab me with those powerful arms. Now! Nice try, but you gotta be faster than that to snag Spider. As Spider-Man plunges toward the floor below, grasping his life-saving strand of web in one hand, he lunges out skillfully and, what? Gotcha! Then in mid-air, the amazing costumed crusader summons all his speed, his unerring skill, his lightning-fast reflexes, and whisks a small veil from his belt. That it doesn't look like that's what he's doing in the picture, but thanks for joining me, Lizard. It gets lonesome tumbling down alone. If I miss now, there may be no second chance for me. Hold it, Liz. This will only take a second. I did it. Now if only... Oof! Your time has run out, Spider-Man. Now to finish you off. Why doesn't that serum work? What did I do wrong? What? His tail. It's like a runaway sledgehammer. Oh, that's gotta hurt. I warned you that you were no match for me, and now we will end this forever. As soon as I have disposed of you, I will spill my serum into the swamp, and the world will be mine. Got to stop it. Can't give up. But suddenly, my head, my brain, what is happening to me? My hands are losing their scaly quality. It's the serum. Oh, his hands are losing their scaly quality. It's the serum. It's working. I haven't failed. I love this page. It's classic. Look at that transformation. And then, before the startled eyes of Spider-Man, in the ancient, crumbling, half-hidden fortress, a fantastic change takes place. I am human again. The nightmare has ended. At last, it's over. You have only one arm again. Every last vestige of your lizard identity has vanished. Without the lizard controlling those alligators, it's a simple matter for Spider-Man to keep them at bay. Like he's webbing them away. And now I'll take you home, Dr. Connors, a short time later. My darling, if not for Spider-Man, I might have never held you in my arms again. Oh, Curtis, I can't believe you're really back. I tampered with the forces of nature, which must not be tampered with, when I think what might have happened. Hush, my darling, it's all over now. You must try to forget it. I'll burn my notes. No one else must ever repeat my experiments. But now, what price must I pay for what I've done? For the terrible havoc. Havor, I almost wrote. You broke no law, and luckily you were stopped before you could do any harm. I suggest we just keep this whole affair. It's very wholesome. Dr. Connors is very wholesome, and so is Spider-Man. I suggest that we keep this whole affair a secret among the three of us. Bless you, Spider-Man. We'll never forget you. Next day. Still no sign of your photographer, Mr. Jameson. Want us to send out an all-state alarm? All I know is I'm paying a fortune in hotel bills and not getting what I came for. Say, isn't that Peter Parker? Fits the description you gave us. Hi, Mr. Jameson. I've been looking for you. You've been looking for me? Why, you brainless, incompetent... Hold it. Don't say anything you regret. Just look at these pics of the lizard. Think of how great they'd look in your paper. The lizard? How did you ever get these photos? I bought them from an old Indian guide I met at the edge of the Everglades. Well, you wasted your money. Can't even tell a fake photo when you see one. Oh no. Wait, stop, don't tear them. You fool, there is no lizard. The whole thing must have been some sort of publicity stunt. But where is Spider-Man? Why didn't you get some pictures of him? You and your big talk. You promised me sensational photos, and all you bring me is a batch of worthless fakes. You've wasted enough of my time. Get packed. We're returning to New York. But, okay, I'll pack. What about the money you promised me, Mr. Jameson? For what? The way I figure it, you owe me for your plane fare down here, and half of the hotel bill. Finally, a weary Peter Parker reaches his home. Gee, it's good to be back, Aunt May. Now, don't get too comfortable, Peter. I have a lot of chores for you to do after your nice rest in Florida. That's nice rest indeed. Rest, but... Oh, okay, Aunt May. Let's just call Betty first and see if she'll date me tomorrow. Oh, I forgot. She's working late for Mr. Jameson. Well, then I'll try Liz Allen. Whoa! Peter! Nice. Hi, Liz. This is Peter. How about tomorrow night? Peter Parker. I'll tell you what I told Flash Thompson. I'll thank you not to call and tie up my phone. I'm waiting for a call from Spider-Man. Oh, no. After him rescuing me the other day and calling me Blue Eyes, I'm sure he'll call. And I don't want the line to be busy when my dream man phones. Oh, Liz, please. Oh no, she thinks Spider-Man has a crush on her. She won't waste time dating plain ordinary Peter Parker from Doleville. Only a guy with my naughty luck could end up being his own competition. Nice. Then, and at the office of J. Jonah Jameson, Spider-Man is also very much the topic of conversation. You mean he sent it through the mail, Miss Braun? Yes, sir. After all, I guess Spider-Man can mail a letter like anyone else. It says roses are red, violets are blue, and I'm still at large, so phooey to you. I don't want to say that word on the stream, Owen, but that's true. Oh man, I would love to say that word on the stream, but I've decided not to. I'm trying not to swear, or say like non-wholesome things. But wow, it's true. Well, don't just stand there. Tear it up, burn it. Oh, I'll get that masked menace if it's the last thing I do. Editor's note: big news! Next issue will feature the spectacular return of one of the greatest villains of all, the astounding Vulture. I was thinking it. Reserve your copy at your dealers now. See you soon. Your dealer? Wow, not so wholesome. I'm going to take a break from reading, but let's look at the cover. The Vulture looks too sure of himself. He must have a foolproof plan to defeat me. But what can it be? A Marvel Super Spectacular, The Vulture's Return. Here is Spider-Man as you like him, fighting, joking, daring, challenging the most dangerous of all. In the Marvel age, the most dangerous foe of all, in this, the Marvel age of comic. To be fair, I think Dr. Octopus was probably his most dangerous foe, but they weren't sure who his nemesis would be just yet. Piranha Comics are my dealer. They are, man. They got me. So before I go, I did ask this earlier, but no one asked me a question. Ask me any question about Spider-Man. I'll answer it to the best of my ability. I might get it wrong, but I'm going to darn well try because when I was younger, I said I'd love to go on, what's it called? Master Quiz. What's the quiz called? I don't know the name of the quiz. The big quiz on TV. And I would have chosen Spider-Man as my topic of expertise. So ask me any question Spider-Man related. Go. Oh, and you've been quite active on the chat. Why not ask me a question? Ask No Limits a question. He'll hook you up with an answer. Mastermind. Yeah, Mastermind. I'd love to go on Mastermind. Any question. Any question. I don't know if I'll be able to go on Mastermind for Spider-Man, but I do know a fair amount about the old man. Why does Peter Parker wear glasses when I thought his spider powers cured his eyesight problems? Well, I think that he wears. It's not actually specified in the comics, but I think he wears glasses because he doesn't want people to suspect that he's undergone a change. Because if you think about it, in the 1960s, if you wear glasses, you've got them on forever, basically. He does stop wearing glasses, I think, when he gets into university, because that's a time where he's not with I mean, Flash Thompson goes to his university, but a lot, and Liz Allen does too. But I think when he gets to university, I think he decides that's a fair time to reinvent himself. Um, but yeah, I think he wears glasses mostly to suit how he looks, and he doesn't want to bring attention to the fact that he's changed at all. I mean, he goes to great lengths to hide the fact he's got muscles in an earlier chapter. So I'm guessing the glasses are with that. It could also be a confidence thing. Peter Parker at the moment, his confidence is gaining, is increasing because he's starting to like ask girls out and stuff. But he wasn't very confident at the start, and maybe he might feel that he doesn't look very good without glasses. I don't know. I think personally he looks quite good with glasses, but he doesn't look anywhere near as good as he does without them. I think the problem is he hasn't got the right glasses. If he had some glasses like this, it would really suit him. So I'm going to say it's one of two factors. It's either the fact he doesn't want to reveal he's Spider-Man or a confidence issue. Because that's a big change. And I think if he took his glasses away, he would have to completely change how he dresses because it complements his clothes at the moment. And he does completely change how he dresses when he gets into university. How many girlfriends, like actual love interests, like Mary Jane and Gwen as Spider-Man had? Okay. Thank you. In terms of love interests, he's had a few. He hasn't actually dated all of them as girlfriends. So as far as I know, it starts off with Betty Brant. But sorry, Betty Grant or Betty Brant. It starts off with Betty Brant, but she breaks up with him when she realizes the danger that Peter Parker is getting into as a journalist. In one of the early chapters. Then in university, he starts dating Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy dies. After Gwen Stacy dies, I think he starts dating Mary Jane. He asks Mary Jane to marry him, and Mary Jane then breaks up with him because she doesn't want to marry anyone, goes away. Then he becomes interested in Deborah Whitman, who is a character in the Spider-Man cartoon as well in 1994. But he doesn't start dating her, and he constantly goes to be Spider-Man, and it upsets her a bit. And she starts dating someone else. Then he meets Black Cat, who he starts dating Spider-Man. However, Black Cat doesn't want to date Peter Parker. She only wants to date Spider-Man. That doesn't work out. After Black Cat, I might be missing something here, but as far as I know, he gets back with Mary Jane again. So that's one less. And they see each other for a long time and eventually get married. However, that gets retconned out of the continuity in One More Day, so that doesn't count. Well, they do date again. Then he meets a policewoman called Charlie. I can't remember her second name. They date for a while during Dan Slott's run of Spider-Man. They break up when he. I think they break up because he lied about being Spider-Man. She knows he's Spider-Man now, and she's cool with it. But I think they broke up because he hid that. Then he dated. Well, Doctor Octopus in his body dated Anna Macaroni, but I wouldn't count that. Finally, he dated. Well, he didn't date. He had he had a kind of casual relationship with Sally Moon, who is I can't remember her superhero name, but she's a superhero of spider powers. And then he dated Nighthawk. I think that's her name. I can't remember her name. Let me double check. In the comic, I think I got all of them. It's 10 people. It's 10 people from the Suns, but I can't remember her name. But she's like an excellent choice. He only dates her for like 5 issues though, unfortunately. I can't remember what her name is. I can't remember her name. Anyway, he dates 10 people, double figures. He dates 10 people, but technically out of those 10, he only dates 9. I wouldn't count Black Cat as no. That's well, Spider-Man has only had 1 or 2. Yeah, it's amazing that I know that. I think I may have missed a few people out though. Like in the comics I'm reading, in it's 1983 at the moment, and Mary Jane has come back into town, and everyone's trying to set them up, and he doesn't really want to be set up, and neither does she. But it's obviously going to work out. There might be someone after that though. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think, because I know that Peter Parker and Mary Jane split up for a while in the late 90s and got together in 2001 again. But yeah, how does he make the web serum? Is it always using a machine, or does he shoot it organically from his wrists? Oh yeah, so that's not a new question at all, because the movies have mixed that up. So basically, Spider-Man's web is like he made the web shooters himself. Like because as you know, he's a genius scientist. He's really good at school. He got the things together to make his own web shooters, and he makes the web serum using chemicals. He It's a super strong chemical adhesive that has a secret recipe, um, which is Marvel's cop out way of saying they'll never explain it. But he does improve his web serum as it goes along. Funnily enough, there was a series like Spider-Man died in the year I can't remember 2006, and he got brought back to life. And when he revived himself and came back to life, he could shoot web organically. But then, obviously, because of One More Day resetting the timeline with Mary Jane, he went back in time to that not happening, and he has to make his own web again. So sometimes it's using a machine from 2006 to 2000 and no, not 2000. It wasn't 2006. I think it was 2010. Well, sometime before Civil War in the comics. Actually, I think it was after Civil War. So people knew Spider-Man. Well, it was during. He had to make his own web. So yeah, he makes his own web serum using chemicals and shit. Basically, I'm loving this. Keep them coming. Keep them coming, bro. If you got another question, I'd be happy to answer it. I don't think I answered that one very well, but he just makes his own web out of chemicals and stuff. Yeah, in fact, I actually showed it earlier in the comic. So let's go to page view. I think I could actually show you the page where it happens. There's no such thing as a noob question, by the way. There's so many people that there's so many different Spider-Man canons that a lot of people don't understand. Is there a moment in the Spider-Man in the comics where you think Peter Parker, Spider-Man, does something morally questionable? So very famously, I can't find it on my shelf. I'm sorry. All right, there's a very famous moment where I can't find the origin of the web shooters here, so let's not worry about it for now. There's a very famous moment in the comic Spider-Man Back in Black, which is where he wears the black suit again, because he is angry. And during that time, Aunt May was shot by the Kingpin, and she was dying, and he was very upset. And the person who ordered the bullet to be shot was the Kingpin. Now, hold on a sec. Why not I just make this full screen? There we go. So the Kingpin was the one that ordered Aunt May to die, to be shot, and she survived, but she was in critical condition. So he broke into the prison where Kingpin was held, which is something Spider-Man would never do. He wouldn't break into a prison to beat someone up. And he basically beats the crap out of the Kingpin, because in the past he's been holding back against people when he fights them, but he completely goes nuts on him. And before he fights him, he takes off his mask, and he said, "Well, the Kingpin's like, Spider-Man, you don't kill people." And he says, "Hey, you're right. Spider-Man isn't going to kill you." And he takes off his mask and it's Peter Parker, and he says, "I am." And he beats the crap out of him, and he threatens to kill him. And he says the second Aunt May dies, he's going to basically suffocate him with webs. It was terrifying, and that was the most morally questionable thing. Obviously, he has no recollection of that happening because the timeline was reset, and Aunt May hasn't done that. Aunt May didn't die. The other time he did something morally questionable was in another comic, which I don't want to spoil because it might be your birthday present. So hold on on that one. But he does morally questionable things sometimes. I think a lot of them are in the early issues, because he does consider robbing a bank in issue 1. He does consider not rescuing Flash Thompson earlier, so he did have some darkness to him in the early series, but that kind of changes. But Spider-Man's the kind of guy who has, in the main timeline, never actually killed anyone. He's never killed anyone. He goes out of his way to make sure that people survive. And a few people have, I mean, Gwen Stacy did die as a result of Spider-Man trying to save her, but she would have died anyway, so I don't think that was exactly Spider-Man's fault. It's hard being Spider-Man. It's quite tough. But he makes sure that nobody dies, and he gets very upset when anyone dies, if it's like an innocent bystander or anything. So I think there's balance here. Another time is where so there was a guy called the Sin Eater who killed a, a, one of my favorite side characters, this police chief of police, Jean DeWolf. No, not DeWolf. Jean Defoe. I'm not sure. I'm getting confused with the editor. And she was killed by this serial killer, the Sin Eater, who was this guy who had a few issues. He was really messed up guy, but Spider-Man nearly beat him up. Or I think Spider-Man was going to go to the jail where he was kept to beat him up, but Daredevil stopped him from doing that. Who's your favorite Spider-Man villain? Oh, I don't know. Oh, let me think. So there's loads of Spider-Man villains. Like I think that I mean, I never get tired of seeing. Surprisingly, I never get tired of seeing the Green Goblin. I think he was great in the last few issues of Spider-Man, but he's not my favorite villain. Um, I mean, I've always been quite fond of Venom, but he's not technically a villain anymore. He's a superhero now. I would say my favorite villain is probably Doctor Octopus as Superior Spider-Man. It was great, and even now, Doctor Octopus is still a villain in the series. He's got this really cool redesign now. I don't know if he's a villain anymore, but he's been doing stuff in the series. Here he is fighting Spider-Man on the cover of Secret Empire, and he's a member of Hydra for some reason now. So I would say probably Doctor Octopus is my favorite villain purely because he often he often beats Spider-Man, and he challenges Spider-Man um, to like step up his game and do things a bit more impressively. So I think Doctor Octopus, from a storytelling perspective, is a more interesting villain than say the Green Goblin, because the Green Goblin doesn't make Spider-Man do new things, but the Green Goblin does push Spider-Man to solidify his choices. I really loved it when I don't want to spoil issue 800 of Spider-Man, but I loved what Peter did in issue 800 of Spider-Man. He was really tested by the Green Goblin. Um, but yeah, I'd say Doctor Octopus, Green Goblin. Green Goblin's pretty good. I like Ezekiel, even though he's not really a villain, he's just someone who's in the grey area. He's this old guy that has Spider-Man's powers, and later in the series it reveals to well, he needs to fight Spider-Man. He needs to kill Spider-Man to like keep something. I think to keep his powers. So he's a really good villain because he's doing it. Well, he's like this philanthropist guy. He's doing it reluctantly, but he's still. He has some good character development, and unfortunately, he does die. But he was one of the best Spider-Man characters, and I really enjoyed J. Michael Straczynski's run at writing Spider-Man because of Ezekiel. Ezekiel was great. I will answer one more question, and then I'm gonna call it quits for today because I'm enjoying this. And please, for anyone watching now or on YouTube in the future, you can ask me any question at any point about Spider-Man or even non-Spider-Man stuff. I'll answer it at any point. But I'll do one more Spider-Man. What's your favorite Spider-Man series aesthetically? Talking about inking and coloring here, bro. Oh, nice. Okay. So the first one that really stood out to me as a kid was is it this one? The first one that really stood out to me as a kid was Return of the Green Goblin in Peter Parker Spider-Man, which was illustrated by Humberto Ramos, whose style is really inspired by manga. But like, I really like the style because everything looks really cartoony and kind of strange. So like, here's Peter talking to Aunt May. At this point in the story, Aunt May knows he's Spider-Man thanks to J. Michael Straczynski's run. I just love how like weird the characters look, and I mean, Spider-Man fights without his mask in a lot of this, but when he is wearing his mask, he they do a good job of making it look expressive. I think Ramos also illustrated Spider Island, and his style has become more manga inspired because it's not. I mean, you see some great stuff. I know a lot of people don't like Ramos' style because it's really cartoony, but I love it. My absolute favorite Spider-Man aesthetic is probably, I don't really have a good example because I lost issue 1. Is absolutely John Romita Jr.'s Spider-Man, his Spider-Man and Ezekiel on the cover. John Romita Jr. was like the first artist I ever saw doing Spider-Man comics, and he's been doing Spider-Man comics since the 80s, and it looked different, but his like once he was inked, once his art became inked by Scott Hanna, that's the name. It became great because it had this real like shine to it. It looks really good. I like how he draws Peter Parker as well. He makes him look really cool. I can't find any examples here, but like here it's great. I love this page of Spider-Man and Loki eating a hot dog. By the way, it's a good time. But I think he just draws Spider-Man the best. He makes him look great with the mask. He makes him look great. Just in general, he draws a really good Mary Jane as well. So here's what Peter looks like. Peter is very handsome whenever he's drawn by um, John Romita Jr. John Romita himself, and Mary Jane as well. She looks very pretty. Can't really find an example. Mary Jane's like really cool in this part of the series as well because she's really badass. Can't really find an example, but John Romita Jr. is like my favorite. John Romita himself, his father, who also illustrated the comics, drew the one of the most famous comics of all time, which is the death of Gwen Stacy. And he did the comics like issue. He was actually the second Spider-Man artist who replaced Steve Ditko. Apart from that, Steve Ditko's art style is really growing on me because he was the first person to draw a hero who looks really gangly and awkward, and I love that. It's a real like. Whereas John Romita Jr., you got to admit, he does kind of make Spider-Man look a bit muscly, but he's still got that stringy aspect to him. What other ones do I like in terms of Spider-Man? I mean, yeah, I'm going to say for now John Romita Jr. and Humberto Ramos, but there's probably quite a few artists whose names I can't remember off the top of my head. Quite a lot of people who illustrated issue 800 of Spider-Man did a really good job. I can't remember their names off the top of my head though. And father and son, well, like yeah, John Romita and John Romita Jr. are father and son. And in some very rare instances, like in by the way, Spider. I wanted to find this for your birthday, but I couldn't find a copy of it, so I'll lend it to you at some point. But Spider-Man, Happy Birthday is one of my favorite Spider-Man stories, and one of the things that makes it so great is that John Romita, his father, helps John Romita Jr. illustrate a few things in it. I'm not sure which. I think I could quite tell because there's a bit where there's a really lovely scene where Peter is given a box by Doctor Strange that lets him meet Uncle Ben again. And I mean, this whole exchange was drawn by John Romita, and he could capture human emotion really nicely. It's very wholesome. I love that scene. It really made me cry when I read it. There's another page in here where it shows. Um, this is so cool. It has every battle, every villain he's ever faced in one page because the basic plot of this story is that he had to relive his entire life um, in one go, and he had to battle every enemy he had ever seen. And what I love about this is John Romita Jr. illustrates like a lot of people's favorite moment in Spider-Man from issue 33 of Amazing Spider-Man, which is hold on a second, I'm just trying to find it. I would really love to read this series of Spider-Man on the stream because I was reading that this was for my first exposure to Spider-Man comics was reading the J. Michael Straczynski comics. But yeah, this moment where he escapes from the wreckage of a building is one of my favorite Spider-Man panels, and it's really nice to see it redrawn. I mean, it's just so good. It has a happening almost panel for panel from the Ditko version, but just um, Romita Jr. and Hannah, they are my favorites. But a lot of people criticize John Romita Jr. It depends who's inking his work. Um, I mean, I know he did a few issues during the Clone Wars of Spider-Man, which maybe looked okay, but not really that great. But yeah, he does good. Go on, ask me one more question, please. Owen, you're asking really good questions. One final question, and then I'll call it a night because I'm having a lot of fun. But I think this is like I love answering questions about Spider-Man. Like I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and she said that she saw the Amazing Spider-Man film, and I just completely like went out there speaking about everything I knew about Spider-Man. And I was like, I'm sorry, I know a bit too much about Spider-Man. But I love to be able to talk about Spider-Man because, like, I don't know, I've been following it for like half my life, really. one last question because I could go on. I could go on. But yeah, um, did Spider-Man ever go to another country or to another city? So he went to Florida in that issue. Um, so I'll answer the first two first. So go to another country. I think he goes to it's either Paris or England. I think it's England for a bit in the 70s for like a few issues. Um, Apart from that, he does go to other cities sometimes. So when him and Mary Jane were split up for a while, he did visit the city where she lived. I think it was Chicago. Unfortunately, she wasn't there because she was going to visit him in New York, which was lovely. Um, Peter Parker and Mary Jane were going to move to Portland, Oregon during the Clone Saga when Ben Riley, who was a clone of Spider Man, was thought to actually have been the original Spider Man, and that Peter Parker was the clone. But it was really messed up actually because um, like it was horrible. Mary Jane ended up having a miscarriage in that chapter because of the stress from the Green Goblin, and it was revealed when Ben Riley died that Peter Parker was the real Spider Man. The Clone Saga is a whole mess of problematic shit. They were hipsters. I like Ben Riley and some of the things that came from the Clone Saga, but I don't really like how in the 90s they tried to make Spider-Man comics more edgy and deep. It was kind of upsetting for me. So he goes to other cities sometimes. He didn't actually go to Portland, Oregon, and in the end, actually, he stayed in New York. Um, he does go to new city. Like he's gone to other countries quite a lot. He in the John Romita, no, in the sorry Straczynski Spider-Man, he visits Africa a lot. Um, he goes to other countries when he's with the Avengers. I think he went to Latvia in One More Day. He's been to Wakanda a few times. So he's been around. I can't really remember all of the other countries he's gone to, but he has gone to a lot. And he doesn't really change city that much because he likes to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but he's done it. He's done it a few times. Um, if he needs to sort something out, he will travel. He doesn't have much money, but he can travel when he can. He travelled a lot more. I think he was actually in London recently when he fought Doctor Octopus. It was really funny seeing him in London and seeing all the London police officers. Secondly, would you like a Red Sun version of Spider-Man? So Red Sun is like the Superman where he is it's basically the Soviet version of Superman. I think that I don't know. I think that Spider-Man is already quite a, a socialist figure already. The Red Sun could also be about General Code. I think though, like at the same time, um, I think that basically, like there is one time where like he did diss the comedian and call him a commie when he punched him, which was like, kind of messed up. Um, about Cold War themes in Spider-Man. I would be interested in a Red Sun version of Spider-Man. I don't really know how it would happen though, because Spider-Man isn't really related to the state in any way. Um, I guess if the I man, I guess that Spider-Man is like a hero of the people, and he's not really related to the state. So from like Karl Marx's communism, I would say Spider-Man's already there. But not from Soviet communism. That would be really interesting, and I don't know how they'd do it. General Cold War themes in Spider-Man, though, there were quite a few Cold War themes originally. Like the comedian is the Cold War villain. He's like the spy who gives his plans to other people. Um, Apart from that, I don't really. I would be quite interested in seeing Cold War Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man he's an anarchist communist. I think he's an arachnid communist. I'm glad I got to make that joke. But yeah, I'd be interested. I like to see new interpretations of Spider-Man. I was a big fan of Superior Spider-Man, which was like the most different interpretation. I don't like things like though when, for example, Captain America was revealed to have been a Hydra spy the whole time. That really upset me. I didn't like that happening. Oh, that was fun, guys. I've kind of tired myself out of answering so many questions. It's been awesome. Thank you, Owen, for all those amazing questions. And if you could ask me more questions next time, I'd be all about that. I'll tell you what. Give you one more. Give you one more, and then I'll finish. Let's do one more. I'm having a good time. And then that'll be it for today. I've got to get a new tea, and I've been doing it for 2 hours, which isn't bad. It's not bad. I've been mostly talking today. It's good. Brofist. One more question, Aaron. I'd be cool for that. It could be. These have been really good questions so far, though. I've been into them. It permits. Despite that is a good question. Okay, as far as I know, Spider-Man has only ever drank alcohol once. There was a part like there was one part in the 80s or the late 70s where he bought a beer, but it was later revealed that he didn't drink the beer. He just bought it to fit in at an event. But he doesn't drink alcohol usually. He usually drinks tomato juice or coffee. He drinks a lot of coffee because he's a New Yorker. Of course, he drinks coffee. But the only time I've ever seen Spider-Man drink alcohol is I think it's actually in Spider-Man Happy Birthday. Um, Possibly. No, it's not. It's a different one. So when Spider-Man and Mary Jane get back together, they go to a restaurant and they drink. And I think like Mary Jane's like, maybe we should go back to your place to Peter, and he's like, no, we've been drinking. We shouldn't do it. We shouldn't do that, which was nice. It's good to see that. So that's the only time I've seen Peter Parker drink alcohol. Spider-Man doesn't drink alcohol, and actually, if you count One More Day, that never happened. So technically, in this timeline, Spider-Man has never drank alcohol, which I like that. But Mary Jane still has all her memories of One More Day, so she knows that he drank alcohol one more time. Usually, if he does drink alcohol because the writer has forgotten about it, it's usually retconned into having been ginger ale. He drinks ginger ale quite a bit. So no, Spider-Man has only drank alcohol once, and I think that's because J. Michael Straczynski forgot that Spider-Man doesn't drink alcohol, and in later issues he does remember that he doesn't drink alcohol. The main reason that Spider-Man doesn't drink alcohol is because he's afraid he'll lose control and hurt someone. There was one chapter where Ben Reilly, this clone of Spider-Man, discovered that he was a clone and he was very upset. And he started drinking, and he nearly got into a fight. And he said, "Why was I a clone of a man who doesn't drink alcohol?" Which was quite interesting. But Spider-Man doesn't drink alcohol. He's drank it once. I wouldn't be surprised if that time he drank alcohol, it was actually not alcohol at all, and it was root beer. Um, Although they were drinking a glass of wine. Um, I think only on very special occasions. I think considering that his wife, he didn't think he was going to get back together with his wife, um, and he did get back together with her. I think that's cause to celebrate. I think that's a fair enough time to drink alcohol, even if you're Spider-Man. And he only had one glass. He has very low alcohol tolerance. So Spider-Man doesn't drink alcohol, and that's one of the things I really like about Spider-Man. Actually, I think other heroes, I think I don't actually know. I think there's one definite hero in the Marvel universe who does drink alcohol, which is Tony Stark. I'm not sure he does now, but he had some real problems with alcoholism, which were explored quite deeply in the story. I'm not much of an expert of Iron Man, but I've read the first 40 issues of Iron Man, and I loved it. It was great. Even though his costume looked rubbish. He's a positive role model. He's kind of a positive role model because Spider-Man does sabotage his own life a lot of times. But I would say he's a positive role model. I mean, um, he yeah, he's always been a positive role model. Even in his teenage years where he's a bit more selfish, he always does the right thing in the end, which you gotta respect. Well, I've had a great time today. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for all the questions, Owen, as well. Feel free to think of some more and ask me next time. And anyone watching on the YouTube, the out of the 4 people watching on YouTube. No, I'm kidding. Give me some questions for next time. Even leave them on the YouTube link comment section and see what I can do. But thank you very much. I can see some love hearts from Owen. Thank you. Have a good evening, true believers. I'm having loads of fun streaming Spider-Man, and computer game wise, I'm thinking of streaming Sonic Mania when the update is released for that. So keep your eyes peeled. But apart from that, just talking about Spider-Man, even doing like just a regular stream like this is loads of fun. Didn't realize you could stretch the camera like this. Anyway, stay healthy, I guess. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you. Bye.